Glenn, thanks for joining us. We really appreciate your time today. Look, we are going to be in a battle with this virus for really quite a long time, though. Vaccines really have picked up the pace and allow a window potentially to return to normality. What does that mean for you? What kind of demand are you seeing right now for people to get away?
Well, thank you, Guy, for having me on. And absolutely, there is incredible desire to get out and travel. And we're seeing that in the numbers. We've seen in the U.S., for example, people going through the TSA checks, and it's a large number, and it's growing rapidly, which is great. That being said, it's still significantly below what it was in 2019. And we need to do everything we can to help make people go out and travel to help bring back the industry, which is why at Booking.com, we're offering a huge promotion right now. We're offering people to come to the Booking.com app, stay in a hotel, and we'll give you a $50 credit to do it again. We need people not just to get that first trip out. We need to have some momentum and get people really traveling consistently to help bring back the industry.
So, my conversation yesterday with Dr. Jansen, when this is going to be here for a very, very long time, and boosters are going to be sort of part of how we manage it. Based on that, we're not going to have like a grand reopening. Do you favor vaccine passports then?
Well, we are absolutely in favor of anything that will help bring back travel. You know, the area that's been hurt the most has been international travel. Government's very restrictive, not wanting to have people come and visit who may be carrying the virus. So we need a way that tourists can go to a country and prove that they're safe to travel so that governments are willing to let people come. One way to do that, of course, is you take a test 3 days beforehand. You go get that, and then you got to prove you have it with you. It's not the greatest system. What would be really great is if there was a technological solution that I can show up as a traveler, say, hey, I've been vaccinated, I'm safe. And then the government says, sure, come on in. Now, we can have it done in a way that is not making people not be able to travel at all. You could still go get your test beforehand and do that, but that's clunky. We want to do something that's easy to go so we can bring back international travel.
How's that going to work, Glenn? Europe is behind, but it's starting to catch up. Maybe there's an opportunity there. Maybe there's an opportunity to reopen the North Atlantic. But then you look at the rates of vaccination in less developed economies, and it's taking a long, long time. The IMF is highlighting the risks to some of these economies that are really dependent on tourism and travel. How do you see this unfolding? It's not just about the North Atlantic, it is about the rest of the world as well. Give us your impressions of how kind of this staggered process is going to work.
No, it's very difficult, of course, because there are so many areas in the world where the vaccination rollouts are very limited, very slow, and a shortage of supply. It's a problem because until a large percentage of the people are safe throughout the world, we're going to have this issue, which was just mentioned earlier by you, of the idea that there are mutants that are being coming out because there's replication in people. So we really need to have a worldwide program to get this stuff out as fast as possible. You know, the world is only as safe as everybody is vaccinated, and we need our better developed countries to provide the assistance and the supplies and the money that is necessary to help our other parts of the world.
So give us some insight then in the shorter term about what summer looks like, because I mentioned earlier in my market check that the implied volatility for the VIX is actually higher in the summer, and I'm wondering just what that's trying to encapsulate. It seems like maybe it's a reopening question mark. What are you seeing for summer bookings?
Well, there's definitely an increase in demand, but you're right, there is uncertainty. Of course, we're all watching. It's a race between the virus and the vaccines. The quicker we get those vaccines out, the better we'll do against the virus, the less chance that there'll be some mutation that will be more effective against the vaccine, which would be the disaster that nobody wants. And as you pointed out earlier, everybody's working really hard to come up with ways that you can tweak vaccines in case there is a virus that is more resistant to the vaccine. Look, we know that people want to travel badly. That's why we're offering people this incentive so they don't do it just once. We want people to come to that Booking.com app and do it again. That's what we need.
In terms of how you are geared to Europe as well, Glenn. So I'm curious as to what you're seeing and what you're expecting from Europe. I just got an email from my colleague Maria Tadeo in Brussels saying she's seeing evidence of a real acceleration in the vaccination rates that we're starting to see in Europe. I talked to Michael O'Leary of Ryanair the other day. He expects to be flying 70% of his capacity pre-pandemic this summer. Do you think that's realistic?
It's possible for sure, and it's going to be highly dependent on how fast these vaccines get rolled out. We all know Europe had a very bad start, and we know there have been problems in many of the countries. On the other hand, you look at the UK, great effort there. They're doing a great job. And Prime Minister Johnson talking about a potential opening in the middle of May, which could be really fantastic. Again, it's going to come down to how the governments feel in terms of safety. And is this a level of vaccination that will enable people to travel more freely? Or is there going to be concern that now we're not sure we want to open up the doors quite yet? And it's really just to depend on how fast do we get those vaccines out.
Before we let you go, Glenn, we want to ask you about the evolving conversation about taxes in D.C., a higher corporate tax. It seems like there's negotiation around 28% or lower, the global minimum tax, what we heard overnight, as well as how companies are taxed, so the burden wouldn't just fall on digital companies or tech companies. Your thoughts?
Well, my thoughts are, look, everybody wants an equitable tax system. Everybody wants that everybody pays their fair share. The problem is that the system, the way it is right now, of course, is very unfair, and some companies are paying a lot more than others. So we do need some sense of fairness. The problem, of course, is this race to the bottom that Secretary Yellen talks about. It's definitely, we know that's true, but I'm not sure how easily she's going to be able to convince some of the countries that are getting the advantage of that are going to say, okay, never mind, we'll join in on this idea of getting rid of our advantage. I don't know how well that's going to work or not. I would love if there was an equitable system. I'd love it to be at a rate that will help promote development of new things, cash that we're allowed to use by our companies instead of the government, help make things great. It's one of the issues is, taxes are good, but on the other hand, it always hurts the companies in terms of developing new things, innovation. That's something I hope we don't hurt.